All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Building a Buyer Team with KW Maps coach Jen Davis. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available within 24 hours on the Maps Fast Track YouTube channel. You may access the YouTube channel from your Zoom confirmation email, and we will share the link in the chat momentarily. Currently, everyone is on mute. We do value group participation, so we ask that if you have questions, please type them into the chat box. Your questions will be addressed by your coach throughout your webinar. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Jen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Madeline. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Tammy Vickers, I see you on my screen. I see Jess, I see all of my friends. So for those of you that are on here, please come on camera if presentable. We would love to be able to see you and feel your energy. Hi, Mike, how are you? If you can hear us well, put a thumbs up in the chat if something pops up and you need any information. Jessica is going to help me monitor this today, and we'll answer any questions as we go. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jen Davis. I am located in Springfield, Missouri. So I am the Vice President of MAPS. I also run a team called Veris Network. So I am, our team this year will close somewhere around 700 units with 9 agents in production. So we run what we call a team dependent model. Ahead of me running our team, I was our lead buyer specialist for 6 years and built out the idea of a team within a team. So I spent 6 years with my business partner, Dan Holt, building out what we would consider the MREA model on the MAPS or on the buy side, and joined MAPS as a coach in 2016. As a client, I think I joined in 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And really love this idea of this program because building out a team within a team is really what changed the trajectory of my career. It changed the trajectory of our team's business. And so I'm really, really excited today to jump into what does it look like to build out a team within a team. So today's information is geared towards any of you that are looking to add a buyer's agent and you want to know what it looks like for a buy side of your business to be built out by someone else. It's also geared towards a buyer's agent that's looking to add some leverage, maybe get some quality of life back. And so we're super, super excited to be able to jump in. As Madeline mentioned, this will be recorded and it will be sent out within the next 24 to 48 hours. If you have questions, pop them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go along. So when we look at building a team within a team, what does that mean? When I look at it on the buy side of the business, what I want to do is I want to be in alignment with what Gary teaches us in the MREA. And I want to add team members in the order that is suggested in the MREA. What I know about building out a business is there are common practices and there are best practices. So in this 30 minutes that we're going to spend together, we're really going to focus in on best practices. Some of you may be building out a buy side in a different order, and that's okay. We're not saying unwind anything. We're not saying get rid of anyone. What we're saying is if you were starting from scratch, this is what we have found to be the best practice for building out a buy side. So the first thing we're going to look at is who are empire protectors. So an empire protector is somebody that is going to be on the operations side of your business. It's somebody that's going to help you build out your systems. So that first admin hire. So you can see that Jessica is on the call with us. Jessica has been my empire protector for 5-6 years at this point. And what she's done is she's helped organize kind of the chaos that was my life on the buy side. So she built in systems around getting reviews and referrals. She built in systems on tracking dates. She built in systems to make sure that the consumer experience was excellent. At the fourth, fifth, and sixth year that I was our lead buyer's agent, Jessica was my EA, and we were closing 225 buy sides per year. It was myself, it was Jessica, it was an inside sales agent, and then it was 2 showing partners. And so the Empire Protector was really Jessica, and she was the backbone of what that buy side looked like. And we were at any given time had somewhere around 35 to 42 buyers pending at any given time, which means typically we had that number of inspections and walkthroughs and closings. And so that first hire is going to set you up for success. Your empire builders are going to be those that go out and grow your business. So when I look at both of these roles, one is not more important than the other. You have to have both. One is there to grow your business, and one is there to streamline your business. So an empire builder is someone like an inside sales agent. That's someone that is going to nurture your buyer side leads. They may help you set appointments. They may even generate new leads for you. An empire builder might also be a showing partner, someone that can take the business that you're already doing and help grow it by taking the showings off of your plate. I don't want us to get out of order though. We would always hire that admin space first and then the empire builders after. We want to make sure when we're looking at building out a team within a team that we take career visioning and that success series, the 30, 60, 90. So put in the chat, for those of you that have taken career visioning, how many times have you taken it? I think at this point, I'm upwards of 5 times that I've taken career visioning, and every time I learn something new. The reason we take it multiple times is because each time we take it, we're in a different spot in our business. So when we get into taking career visioning, part of the reason we do that is to ensure that we're hiring the right people. One bad hire can set us back a lot of time. It is the expense of a bad hire far outweighs the investment of a great hire. So we want to make sure that we're spending our time on those great hires. We want to look at what does it look like down the road. So if we say, okay, currently I'm operating a business that we're closing on the buy side 36 units and I want to get to 100 units, or we're at 100 units and we want to get it to 250 units, or we're at 250 and we want to get to 500. Whatever that looks like, we want to start building out that 5-year plan. The reason we do that is not because I'm saying you have to have all the answers of whatever you want in your life in the next 5 years. However, Gary often talks about that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can do in 5. And so I want everyone to look at what would your dream be in 5 years? And then we want to build an org chart around that. We want to look at what does that org chart look like and who are the missing people? So if I were to say, when I was first building out the buy side, if I said, okay, I've got myself as a buyer's agent and I've got a great administrative assistant. And then I said, I want to add an inside sales agent and I don't yet have that person. I still would have put the block of an inside sales agent just with a question mark. I don't yet know who that person is. However, I know I want to hire that person. And then after that hire was going to come the 2 showing partners. The other piece that I want you to look at is when you build out that org chart in the order that you're going to hire, we also want to include those job descriptions. What's your expectation of what an inside sales agent does? What's your expectation of what a showing partner does? The reason we add job descriptions is so when those people show up in our life and there's someone that we're interviewing maybe for a different role that we're like, oh gosh, they may be a better fit for this. It helps us to start building out our bench for talent. And then we want to make sure that as we're bringing people in, that we're documenting to duplicate. So what do I mean by that? A document to duplicate is building out your training library. I see Tammy on here, I see Molly on here, both of which have been in coaching programs with me before. And what I can tell you is when you make that first hire, typically it's out of pain. You're already overwhelmed and you're hiring out of pain. So now if we've not documented what our expectations are of what that 30, 60, 90 looks like, what their training plan looks like, the training actually starts to get in the way of our business and it can feel very overwhelming. So as you're building out your buy sides, what I'd like for you to do is take a video. When you're doing a buyer consult or a strategy session, record yourself doing it. It's building your training library. Create a Google Drive that just says training videos. If you're training an admin, your first hire, on how to write a contract or an inspection notice, record it. If I were doing it now, I would record myself explaining it to Jessica, and then I would have that for every other person in our organization that needed training on how to write one of those documents. So what we look at is build it out now so that we have the ability to have someone just plug in to these training systems that we've already got. So when we're developing a successful hire, so I got a handful of nods on here of, oh gosh, I've hired out of pain, that I didn't have enough time to train them. What we've got to look at is, what is our time block for training and feedback? If you are running a buy-side business at a high level, if you're running a business at a medium level, very quickly you can get sucked into things that don't really move your business forward. And what ends up happening is we become reactive instead of proactive. So what ends up happening is I am servicing the business that's coming my way instead of training Jessica on how to take some things off of my plate so that we can move the business forward. So if I'm bringing somebody into my world, I know that I'm going to set the stage for what our working relationship is going to be on day one. So when Jessica comes in, I need to be prepared for what Jess and I are going to do each day for really our 90 days together. And that's going to sound overwhelming for some of you. You're going to think, I can't plan out what I'm having for lunch today. And it's in an hour if you're on Central Time, right? So what we look at is we say, what are the big chunks? What are the things that we've got to cover? And that's where we start. What I've found is leveraging the training and feedback is basically bringing those hires in to spend time with me. I want them to be on every phone call I'm on. The fastest way for Jessica or a showing partner or an inside sales agent to get to the point where we all sound the same, right? One company, one language, is to hear me. So Jessica spent the first, 6 or 7 months in my office across the desk from me. And I took almost every call on speakerphone. She could hear the objection of the other person and she could hear how I handled it. It's a very interesting and efficient way of leveraging that training. We also had metrics. We had a specific 30, 60, 90. So for those of you that haven't taken Career Visioning or the Success Series, a 30, 60, 90 is that game plan that you've got for the first 90 days of employment. So what it looks like is I was going to establish specific goals per role for our first 30 days together. Those are going to look different for an admin, for an inside sales agent, and then for a showing partner. What I want to do is I want to make sure that that 30-day plan sets us up for our 60-day plan. And guess what? If the person isn't performing in their first 30 days, they're not making it to our 60-day plan. It gets harder and harder to let someone go the longer you spend time with them. So making sure that you have that 30, 60, 90 dialed in before you even bring them on board takes the heavy lifting out of parting ways with someone that's not going to be a great fit. It also is a great way to highlight someone that is a great fit. There's no question of if they're talent. There's no question of if they're doing what you need them to do, because we've got something that we're saying, we're going to track it against this, and this is our best practice. We're going to set clear expectations and goals. So some of you are listening to this and you're like, gosh, I've heard this a million times, Jen. I've heard I've got to set expectations. I've heard I've got to set goals. I want you to hear it in a different way today. When I set expectations, I go down to the minutia of what my expectations are. So it's not just that my expectations is that a showing partner on our team closes 5 units per month. I have expectations dialed down to response time on an email, response time on a voicemail left. I have expectations of that I want there to be 3 phone calls to 1 text message. Here's what I learned. I had these expectations all in my head, and no one could ever win with me because I never verbalized them. I never wrote them down anywhere. When I looked at setting expectations, I thought, well, surely everyone will just understand how I do it. And I could train around the hard skills of being in sales, right? I could train around prospecting, and I could train around negotiating, and I could train around showings. However, you've also got to set expectations for the soft skill of sales, right? What does customer service look like? Oftentimes you'll hear me say, if you don't ask for a review at the end of a closing, I can almost guarantee you what your customer service level was, because you don't feel comfortable asking for that review. And it can be a little bit of a gut punch for some people because they're like, well, no, I'm just uncomfortable asking for reviews. Usually we're uncomfortable asking for reviews if we don't feel like we did a great job. Same on setting goals. We've got to set goals for ourselves that we understand and that are tied to the end goal. That should be potentially net profit or income, or maybe time that you want to get back. Goals that we help other people set have to be in line with where they want to be and what they want to do. Standards are what you'll tolerate. So I said earlier, a standard to be on our team is 5 closings per month if you're in sales. What does that mean if someone drops to 2 and I don't say anything? Is my standard really 5 or is my standard 2? Well, my standard's 2 if I don't say anything about it, right? If I don't recognize that they're dropping behind goal, and if I fail to lean in to get them back on goal with an increase of skill or an increase of activity. So understand loosely when you talk about standards, are they really your standard? Because a standard is what you'll tolerate. What do I mean by keeping the culture of productivity? When I'm developing a successful hire, I want top producers. I thrive off the energy of top producers. I don't want someone in my world that wants to live a mediocre life. It doesn't drive me. I don't show up for that. You have to decide what that level is for you. It may not be 5 a month. 2 a month for you in your market may be what drives you. However, when I'm training someone, I can't drop from 5 to 2 during the training process. I have to keep the level of productivity. So what I mean by that is I've got to figure out a way to train someone while I'm doing 5 that they are also getting to 5. I'm only bringing people on to grow my business. There are no maintenance positions on our team. So if I look at it and I say, I want to bring somebody in, I'm not bringing them in. Last year we closed 538 units. If I added another person this year, it wouldn't be to close 538 again. It would be to go to 600, right? We hired a lot of people, so we're now at we're looking at 700 units. Understand, just because we're in training doesn't mean our goals go away and our production can drop. Here's another thing. Clients don't hire you, they hire what you represent. There are people on this screen that are going to think, I don't know how I would ever have a showing partner because they can't show a property like I show it. They won't do as great of a job as I do it. And my suggestion to you is that at some point, if you're a buyer's agent, your rainmaker had the faith in you to turn over the buy side of their business to you. Every person can show up and do a great job as long as they've been trained well. So if you know what your standards are, if you've got great training, if you're giving good feedback, right? What's going well, what's not going well, all of a sudden your clients start to buy into your system instead of only buying into you as the brand. So characteristics of a great hire. You guys are out there and you're like, okay, Jen, I'm ready. I want to hire an admin, or I want to hire a showing agent, or I want to hire an inside sales agent. What do I look for? I'm going to say that even though we're building out specific 30, 60, 90s per role, out of all the people I've interviewed and all of the people that have made it on our team or not made it on our team, here are the characteristics of a great hire. They're coachable. When I give a suggestion, their first answer isn't no, but. It might be yes, and. Yes, I will do that, and I don't fully understand how to do it. I'm going to throw this in there. Being a great leader is also being coachable. There are times where I have made a great hire and I have learned loads of things from them. So that being coachable is something that shows up in talent. I also want someone that has a willingness to learn, that they're not afraid to jump in. They're not afraid to ask questions, that they want to know the answer. Cody Costello, who has been on our team now for 4 years, I think potentially his first 6 months, he asked more questions than anybody I've ever met. He single-handedly is one of the best buyer's agents now that I know because he understood the process. When I had gaps in my training, I knew I had gaps in my training based on the questions that he asked. So we've also, as leaders, got to have a willingness to learn. If we get the same question over and over again, we have to look at how we're delivering the message and say, oh gosh, I've got to now lean in and understand. I've got to up my game on training, and I've got to make sure that this is somewhere in that 30, 60, 90 because it hasn't shown up yet. The other characteristic of a great hire is a high sense of urgency. I don't want to move faster than someone that I bring in to our team. So what I mean by that is I want them to be a driver. I want them to push. I want them to not be comfortable at the end of a showing to say, okay, Tammy, thanks so much. I'll go back to the office. I'm going to see what I can find and I'll let you know when there's another house for us to look at. That's not what I'm after. What I'm after is I want Tammy to say, or I want to say, to say, oh gosh, Tammy, I'm so sorry we didn't find anything today. I'm going to go back to the office. I'm going to find us another house. Can you go back out tomorrow at 2 o'clock? I want that person to have the sense of urgency to get my clients back on the calendar, whether they've helped them, whether they know if they can find them a house or not. Those are the things that show up in the interview. Are they forward pacing you? Are they asking when they're going to get to come back? Are they asking when they can join the team? Are they asking what they can do while they wait? Those are things that you can't really teach. And I have always found a struggle with someone that has a lack of a sense of urgency. If they don't have it in the interview process, they're not going to have it once they get into the field or with your customers if they're an admin. I said to Molly one time, we were on a coaching call, and I said to Molly one time, I said, the best someone's ever going to show up at is in the interview. If they don't show up well there, add stress, lack of sleep, and a spring market where there are no houses for sale, they're not going to show up well then. So we need to be paying attention to the cues of what comes up in that interview. So some key indicators that you're ready to hire. When your customer service starts to slip, right? You're so busy that you're like, I can't even get back to all of these leads. I'm not following up with them the way that I should. I typically like to lead with revenue before I make a hire. So I'm going to look at, I want there to be leads almost falling off the plate before I bring somebody in. Because what I know is when I bring somebody in and they can take part of my pipeline, then I can fill that pipeline and I can bring somebody else in. I'm not bringing somebody in to grow my business. I'm not bringing somebody in to grow my lead source. I'm bringing somebody in to help me grow the business I've already got. I look at it as my responsibility to have enough leads that I've got the privilege of bringing somebody into my world. So we want to make sure, again, that we're following the model of hiring. So we want to look at bringing in our admin staff first. They're the ones that are going to build the system. They're going to be support for all non-dollar producing activities. So at a period of time when we were closing the 225 on the buy side with a small group of people, everything else was taken off of the agent. We look at everyone operating in their specialty zone, right? We talk about it as the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your activities yield 80% of your results. So our admin were coming in and they were saying, for the agents, I'm going to take your 80% off so you can be in your 20%. When you can have every person narrowed in on their focus, that's when you have exponential growth. Lead generation support. So after I've got a great admin, after I've got someone building out those systems and increasing my customer service, then I'm going to bring in someone that helps me remove the seasonality. They're going to help me fill my pipeline and they're going to help nurture it. This is not the same thing as a showing partner. This is someone that's super skill is on lead generating. They're going to help generate new leads and they're going to help nurture the leads I've already got. It's the person that I can pass something to and say, oh gosh, Jess isn't quite ready to buy. Can you keep connecting with her? She wants to buy 18 months from now. I'm never going to remember to follow up with someone for 18 months. There's a 0% chance. And guess what? In 18 months, I still need to make money. I'm in this for the long haul, right? I'm in this is my career. I'm going to be here a long time. So this lead generation support is someone that's going to say, I've got it. I've got the follow-up, and they're going to kick that person back to me when they're ready to go. A showing partner is going to help leverage the relationship with the client. The showing partner shows property and gets the client to the point of writing an offer. They're not a door opener. They're a licensed agent. It says here, they're an expert in the field. In the past, we've called our showing partners field agents because they were so skilled at what the inventory was that they could run comps in their head because they had seen every property on the market. They're showing 1 to 2 houses per buyer. However, they're working anywhere from 12 to 15 buyers in a month. That's how they get to be an expert in the field. They're not just opening a door. They can give great advice. They understand the market and they can move people forward. So I'm going to jump into, if you've got questions, jump in and put them in the chat, and I can go ahead and answer those. We do have the Mega Buyer Agent that is going to launch September 28th. So it's me for 6 weeks. You have me every week for 6 weeks. It's on Wednesdays at 11 Central Standard Time. And this year we're doing something different. So we've got interviews with some of the top buyers agents across the country. We've got one buyer agent that will close over 300 units this year with 2 showing partners. We've got another one that will close somewhere around 182 with 2 showing partners. And we're going to highlight just different stories so that everyone that is in the program has the ability to hear how different people built their model and how similar they all are at their core. Okay, so there are a couple of questions in here about the presentation and needing a coach. If you need a coach, Jess, will you put my email in the chat? I can connect you with a great coach. Everyone will get this presentation emailed out to them within the next 24 to 48 hours. So it will have all of the slide deck that's included in there. So Amy asked a question, when did I hire my second showing agent? How many units was I at when I went from 1 to 2? So I brought in a showing agent in 2016. 2015, I closed 110 buy-side units with no showing partner. I had admin support and I had lead generation support. So I was really working with Right Now buyers. I also was only working 2 days a week or 2 nights a week and 1 day of the weekend. So I worked full-time during the day, only took clients out 2 nights a week, 1 day of the weekend. So I added my first showing agent in January of 2016, and my business partner decided in April to take 50 listings. When he took 50 listings in April, my showing agent and I put 36 buyers under contract in May. That's how you know that buyers always come from listings, right? If you lead with listings, the buy side will always follow. And so it got to the point where I wasn't able to keep up with negotiations because I was back in showings with my showing partner because we were partnership, right? I needed to help show houses. And so I added the second showing agent in end of June, beginning of July in 2016. And I think that year we closed 182 buy sides. So the Mega Buyer Agent will kind of talk through what all of those things looked like. And I want you all to hear it. It wasn't easy, or it wasn't perfect. In the program, I talk a lot about mistakes that I've made where I spent my time incorrectly. And that's really why I coach this program. I know what it's like to be a buyer's agent. I know what it was like to do 50 units and how hard that was. I know all of the steps along the way. What I can promise you is I don't forget the mistakes, and typically we'll spend as much time, if not more, than on the successes. So, okay, Amy had one more question. When you say the showing agent was working with 12 to 15 buyers per month, was that each showing agent or 12 to 15 total? I would say at that point, they were probably each had 7 to 8 A buyers that were Right Now buyers. And then they had 4 to 7 B buyers, or what we would call A buyers with issues. Like they were waiting on their house to sell, so we weren't actively showing them, or they're waiting for something to drop off their credit report. So maybe we were having, conversations with them. We were still talking to them and checking with them daily. We just weren't yet into the showings. So Cool. Just put my email in the chat. It is 11:30. I'm going to respect all of your time. We do have another free promo in a couple of weeks, so would love to see all of you there. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you all have an awesome day.